so when they eat things with fats, like literally they'll be on the toilet in 5 minutes. You know, they don't process it well. And so they have to take certain digestive enzymes to be able to manifest that and break that down and so it works well. Same thing with, it's funny because I have a lot of people think, oh, my stomach acid is good. So let me back up the train here. I had acid reflux, long time. He put me on, I was on such high doses of medication, like twice a day. I mean, it still just wasn't cutting it. And I was like, I don't think this is it. I don't think my stomach acid is high. I think it's low. So basically, same effect. If your stomach acid is low, you have acid reflux. If your stomach acid is high, you have acid reflux. The doctors give medicine to treat low, to treat high. And what will happen is it'll block everything so you won't feel what's going on. So we're good, right? Now, good in that respect, but now your food isn't breaking down well. You're not actually able to break stuff down because your stomach acid is so low. And now we're having a lot of bigger issues because of that. And that was me. I mean, I literally went off medication, added in hydrochloric acid, which is naturally what's in your stomach. I added a supplement in, and my reflux was gone like that. Like everything, and my digestion, everything changed for me, you know, because I was like, it's that. So, like I said, those two things, that and also having the right enzymes in your system. So a lot of people don't have the right enzymes to break down dairy. So you have an issue with dairy, you know. Same thing with when I talked about genes earlier. There's fructose. There's people that are actually fructose intolerant genetically. And so they have issues, period, anytime they eat any kind of fruits, you know, and you have to add support to that to make it break down well. Same thing with grains. People who have issues with their neurotransmitters. So your neurotransmitters, you know, the anxiety, depression, that kind of stuff, 80% of your neurotransmitters are in your gut. Okay, so if they're not functioning well, and so for instance, I have a patient right now who came to me specifically because he's like, I think I'm crazy. And I was like, I don't think you are. And he's like, no, I do. Like I've had anxiety, like doom and gloom anxiety since I was a kid. And I was like, here I am all ding, 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 ding. Whenever I hear kid things, kid issues don't just show up. You know what I mean? Like with adults, yeah, we've done a lot of damage to our bodies over the years. Okay, so when issues come up, I really expect it. Yeah, you probably ate really bad, or you've got a lot of health issues going on. There's reasons behind it. But with kids, I'm always like, I look at genetics right away, because they're kids. They haven't had that big issue. So with him, I was like, all right, we're going to do genetic stuff on that, but also, I pulled out salicylates and phenols, which are they're compounds in plants, and they're known for causing dizziness and anxiety. Didn't really get any headway with that, and I was like, all right. Well, we pulled out histamine, because histamine can make you really anxious if you're having a reaction. No, that wasn't it, and all of a sudden I was like, every time he was eating grains, he was having a problem. So I noticed that if you have an issue with grains and you have low serotonin, like it will send you batty. Like he literally would eat grains and just be, I just can't even function. I can't even meet with my clients, and I'm just a mess. So pulled out the grains. I added tryptophan, because tryptophan will help elevate and balance out the serotonin. And literally within 2 days, he was like, what is going on? And I have to tell you, I love what I do, and I love helping people, and I love helping people lose weight. But when you can give somebody their life back like this, somebody who literally thought he was crazy, and it has all changed for him. It was an issue with his neurotransmitters, and once we we're months down the road now, and the other side of it is I also look at testosterone levels and vitamin D levels. They're very indicative whenever I see anxiety. Like they go hand in hand. So I ran labs on him, and I was like, I want to check testosterone levels, and sure enough, they were in the tank too. So we balanced both those out, and he's he's flying. I mean, it's just, it just makes me so happy, honestly, because just, you know, I sat there and I was like, hey, you realize you're not crazy, right? I mean, like, how does this make you feel? And he's just like crying, you know, like, this is, for years, I really thought there was something wrong with me, and I'm like, yeah, it was in your gut, and it was your neurotransmitters, and now we're fixing that, you know, so, anyway, yes.
What is your background? How did you get into this? I mean, obviously because of maybe the problems you had, but then what did you do?
A lot of that, yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, you start out with like a basic nutrition degree and everything else, and that's not where like any of this comes from. I literally I did a lot of praying, a lot of listening to where God wanted to lead me, and a lot of it was through my own health journey. Honestly, it was fixing myself. So I dove into the Bio-Individual Nutrition Institute. Best thing I ever did. I mean, just that right there was a course, a certification that just taught me all about things that people don't think about or talk about, which is, you know, histamine, oxalates, salicylates, phenols. You know, everybody always just thinks gluten and dairy, you know what I mean? And there's so much more going on with food and how it affects the body. And so that, it was such a best certification I ever got. I mean, really, it fantastic. But as a practitioner, I really was taking it a step further, so I went into pediatrics as well. And then also hormones. You know, I really just was hitting all the things that I was dealing with, because if I can fix myself, I can fix everybody else, right? So, yeah, I'm one of those people who I'm always in another course. I never stop learning, so it's just like the certifications are all I'm constantly wanting to, how can I help someone best, you know, and if I just, you know, what else get, so, yeah, into genes, I mean, everything. So it's just been a process over the years of just still going, you know.
So you know, I'm curious, because I know a lot of people have done it, and you actually figure out their genes? Like,
so with genes, I'll look at like somebody's, in my health forms and everything else, what I'll see, I have like, you know, your family health history, okay? But honestly, I also have a lot of people do, if I see something, so if I see family health history of, I don't know, cardiac issues, I'm like, I'll be like, do some genetic testing. Let's look at MTHFR gene mutation. I really like to send people right away. Honestly, 23andMe, they do a full scope, and a lot of everything comes back that way, and it just really gives me a better understanding of how to treat that. But a lot of it is off of, I look at symptoms, like I said, and I look at the health history, and then just the person's health history, but also the family. I mean, because the family, you know, when it's checked across the box, mother, brother, grandmother, and everything else, and everybody's dealing with the same issue, chances are you are too, you know? So, and there's something going on there. So then I just take it a step further when we go to do when I ask to, hey, let's run some extra labs. And I normally don't do any labs until after I clean people up, to be honest with you. So I go through a stage of, if you come on as a new patient for me, for week 1, I'm going to evaluate everything that you got going on, and we're going to eliminate all the triggers that I think are issues for you based off of what I'm seeing. And we're going to kind of detox you, because your liver is the hub of everything. Like everything you drink, eat, breathe, medication you take, everything, it sees everything. And that's a big job for that organ, and it becomes very sluggish and doesn't work as well as it should. And so this is I love this story because it's perfect for this. People will be like, well, run my labs right now. And I'm like, well, let's get through detox first, and let's eliminate some inflammation. Let's clean up the liver first before we do anything else. And they're like, well, why can't we just do labs now? So I'm at my doctor's office getting a phlebotomy, because the only way to lower high iron levels is for them to take it out of you. And I'm sitting there, and he's sucking blood out of me, and I was like, oh, Brian, hey, run my hormones. And so he pulls them out, runs my hormones, calls me up the next day, and he's like, Suze, I think we need to do an MRI on your brain. Like, yeah. And I was like, what? He goes, like, you're, like, everything is, Susie, is really bad. And I was like, I don't feel symptomatic to it being what you're saying right now. I mean, and honestly, when they do the phlebotomies and take the blood out of me, oh my gosh, I feel so good afterwards. Like, I'm literally feeling like death going in, and afterwards I'm like, in the car going home, we're good to go. And so he's like, well, let's run them again next week. And so my liver was extremely highly toxic. And so, by the way, in the process of all of this, we're doing everything, eating everything I should to detoxify my liver because I knew it was in bad shape. Oh my gosh, like seriously. It's so funny because I get labs in from like everybody and I'm like, oh, my liver, I wish mine looked like that. Like seriously, it was so bad. And so we ran labs a week later and right as rain. Right as rain. And I'm like, okay. And so it matters, you know, getting things cleaned up and working better and then doing labs gives a real picture of where you're at afterwards. And I don't do that up front because you're a hot mess when you come to me. Let's get honest, you know? Everybody's inflamed and they've got a lot of health issues and they've been eating crappy. So I'd rather, let's do it afterwards. So anyhow, back to digestion. So we talked about like just, you know, the stomach acid and everything else. So when I look at reactions to foods, when that first hour window is what I look for just, like I said, stomach acid or enzymes. Now, 2 hours post, things have kind of moved out and they're moving down to the small intestine, okay? So I have food logs that I make everybody do, and underneath there it's like these boxes you can check of like bloated, gassiness, and everything else, and then the time frame, like did it happen right away? Did it happen in 2 or 3 hours? Because all of it's vital for me, because if it happens right away, now I know stomach. Now if it's a couple hours later, I'm like, all right, so it's now moving into the small intestine. So if you've had food fermented or anything else, you'd have a small bacterial overgrowth there. And so high FODMAP foods are like the ones that
What's FODMAP?
Fermentable oligosaccharide, oh my gosh, disaccharide, monosaccharide, and polyols. That's what that is. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Thanks for that clarification.
All right, now let me game slang this. Broccoli, cabbage, yes. Beans, things that make you gassy, okay? Those things, if that's happening it's like a couple hours after you eat, you most likely have a small bacterial overgrowth because those foods are highly fermentable. And if they hit that bacteria that is bad up in there, it will react. And all of a sudden you become bloated and gassy and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on with me? And so that right there is like the big trigger for me. I'm like, okay, I know exactly what we're dealing with now. So I really have this down to like a science as far as the digestive tract. And then same thing if it's later, you know, like 4 or 5 hours later and you're getting gassy, things have moved down into the large intestine, okay? And so maybe we've got candida, which is a large bacterial, a bacterial overgrowth in the large intestine. So all of these things matter, you know, and it's so funny because people just don't understand, you know, it made me gassy. It's not normal, you know what I mean? You shouldn't. You should be able to eat your food and like, let's go. And not have problems with it and not have reactions or issues. So that's a lot of it. And also, like I said, stool. So I have a stool chart that I send out, the Bristol stool chart, 1 through 7. So 1s and 2s are constipation, 6s and 7s are diarrhea. The sweet spot is the 4. That's what I'm always looking for. If I start seeing 6s and 7s, and I start seeing 1s and 2s, I know you're reacting to something. So I got to look back in the logs, and I'll be like, so when you ate, was there any time in that time frame where you became sick to your stomach as well? Because that could be just a straight up food sensitivity. Okay, so I have a guy who literally coconut. I mean, you give him coconut, and he's got to pull the car over in 5 minutes, like literally on the side of the road. And so I look at, okay, when did it happen? Did you feel anything? No, I didn't feel anything. Okay, so then I got to peel back and look at foods, you know. So what is it you reacted to? And a lot of times it's the same thing that you're eating over and over again. So when I go through stages with people where all of a sudden their weight will just plateau, and they're like, it's just not moving at all, and I'm like, you know, there's something in here. I'm telling you, there's a daily thing that you're eating that I'm telling you. And so actually this has happened recently with several of my people, and they just want to kick me in the face because I'm like, chicken. And they're like, what? I love chicken. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's in your log every day. Let's just try me out. Just pull it for a few days. Just see what happens. And sure enough, like, weight starts moving, everything starts falling off, and actually, and then, like, gosh, April. I gotta go to April for a second. So, you don't mind if I share, do you?
No, I don't care.
So, April is one of my lovelies. April's one of the people, you know, she's lost, like, what, 55 pounds? She hit a big portion like that where all of a sudden it just wasn't moving. And she tried to break up with me, and I was just like, Susie, you know, you need to be available for other people and not me. And I'm just kind of, I guess I'm here where I'm at right now. And she's sending me I do Marco Polo videos, and so she's sending me this Marco Polo video, and I don't even hear the words coming out of her mouth. I'm looking at her, and her face is bright red, and I was like, what's wrong with her face? Like, I don't even hear her. And, you know, Susie, she's breaking up with me, and I'm like, I hit her back up, and I was like, what's wrong with your face? What the heck? Why are you? Oh, my face is always red, and I was like, what? No, it is. It's a heat thing, and I was like, I think that's a histamine thing. I said, April, let's pull some histamine. Let's just try me out on this, and wait. Oh. Like, everything moved from there on out again. Like, we've just been flying, and I'm like, okay. So, like
What
I said.
What are histamines in? Yeah.
Avocado, spinach, nuts, chocolate, citrus. Everybody's like, oh my gosh. Processed meats. Oh yeah, it's in leftovers. Leftover meat.
Can you share about that? I don't understand why you can't have leftovers.
Okay, so leftover meats, if you stick them in the fridge or they sit on the counter, they will elevate in histamine. Histamine will just rise in them. And so that's another thing. People are like, but I'm not eating a high histamine food. I'm like, are you eating leftovers? Oh yeah, that chicken's been in there 3 days. And I'm like, oh, sister. It's developed a lot of histamine, and that's what you're reacting to. Yeah.
What if you cooked it and
Freeze
you
it.
froze it?
Yep.
And then
Good to
you
go.
can cook it again?
Yep, good to go.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So it's not the heating up of it, it's
Nope.
the sitting.
It's the sitting.
Even in the
breaking
refrigerator.
down,
Even in the,
I guess.
especially in the refrigerator. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of crazy. And then we have Chris, who has an issue with oxalates. I have an issue with oxalates too. Oxalates are the devil. They tell. I'm not kidding. So I had just massive, out of nowhere, I just had this pain in my hip. Like, I was like, what is that? And then I didn't injure it. I didn't do anything. And I convinced myself, you know, it's all the years of being a cyclist and a goalie. My hips are just done. I've put me out to pasture. And I'm just like, no, Susie, come on. Make yourself be the patient for a second. And I was like, I was eating a lot of spinach. I was eating a lot of nuts. I was eating a lot of high histamine food. I'm not high histamine, but high oxalate foods. And I pulled them. Oh my gosh, my life changed. Like, seriously. The hip, everything got better, but like, it was affecting me digestively, and I didn't even realize it. So oxalates are these microscopic organisms, okay, found in plants. Okay, so if you were to look under a microscope, they look like sharp crystals. All right, they're there to ward off animals and predators. If your body cannot break them down in your digestive tract, now me, I had low stomach acid for the longest time. I also had a surgery where they rerouted my stomach. I'm a prime candidate for somebody who has an issue with oxalates. So people who have issues with oxalate symptoms I look for, burning feet, people who have UTIs, any kind of joint pain, any inflammatory pain. When I see that in an intake form, I'm automatically, we're gonna just pull oxalates and try this out. Okay, just hear me on it. It's the craziest thing ever because they will settle into your joints, into old injuries, into just the craziest places. And when you remove them, your body will actually take yourself through if you have a lot of them embedded in your system, your body will take it through a dumping period is what it's called. And out of nowhere, like, oh my gosh, I think I literally peed like every hour, I think, for like 3 weeks. Like all night, every day. Like it was like my body was just releasing all of it. Yeah. And then in your stool, it'll come out in your stool, like there'll be like black specks. Like it was, and it burned. Oh my gosh. Like seriously, my butt. It was awful. But once it's out of your system, like everything changes and you just a million times better. So when Chris first came to me, his intake forms, I suffered a feet. And immediately he was like, can't lose weight, can't lose weight, can't lose weight. And I was like, dude, pull the oxalates. And he's like, what? And I'm like, just let's, before, we hadn't even met yet. And I told him, I just do me a favor and just pull these. And he was a skeptic. They all are. And then everything starts to get better, you know? It's like, it's so funny when you think, I can see the symptoms, I know what somebody's reacting to, but it's something you love and you eat all the time. You're very, I don't know, just death gripping it. I gotta give up. What? What? Just trust me on this. But I don't want to, you know, and then we do, and then things start to get better and clear up. So, yes.
What about tomatoes? Wasn't Maureen had some tomato thing? What was that?
Histamine.
Histamine? So that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll just, you know, the nose will start to run, just, just you get all phlegmy and everything else, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's interesting because you never really make the connection, you know, but food, you're putting something in your body. It's like putting gas in the car. If you put crappy gas in the car not going to run well, you know, and if you're putting things in your body, and now let's just talk about this for a second. Our food source today is not what it used to be. Our food source is processed and there's chemicals in it. God didn't design us to break down blue number 5, you know what I mean? And everything is so chemical based now, and it's a lot for your system to handle, you know. And I think that people don't think about it that way. They don't think about how food is affecting them. And food 100% affects absolutely every cell in your body, you know. And so what you're doing to it is either going to make you or break you. I mean, you're either going to, and I tell you, I hear this all the time, but I eat healthy, Susie. I eat healthy, and my big tagline, just because it's healthy doesn't mean it's healthy for you. Oxalates, histamines, these are some of the healthiest foods out there, you know? But if you can't break them down, or if you've got a gut issue, you're going to have problems, you know? And it might be healthy. Oh gosh, I have somebody. Oh, eggplant. Oh, the eggplant, you usually don't even know the phone calls I get. Susie! I ate eggplant, 6 pounds in one day. Why didn't I just eat the cake? You should have heard it. I would have rather had the cake than the ice cream. Really? Eggplant's gonna do this to me? I could have enjoyed myself. And I'm just like, yeah, we'll make note on your chart. Okay.
What's an eggplant that would do that?
It's histamine.
Okay.
Oh yeah, but now that not being said, it doesn't have to specifically fall into a category. You can just be sensitive to a certain food.
Okay.
Like I just ran an ALCAT test on myself, a food sensitivity test, to see what I'm sensitive to right now, because I could tell that something just was off, and I was surprised. Like there were some foods I was eating that I was sensitive to, and there were some things that I was like, really? Like they don't fall in the oxalate or histamine realm or anything else. They're just like, I want my apple. What? Apple? Are you kidding me? You know? So it's whatever's going on with your body. Now, I'm somebody who's very prone to getting SIBO. small intestinal bacterial overgrowth because of my digestive tract being changed like that. So I have to be super careful, and actually I'm eating that again right now. So when you ask me what does Susie eat, Susie eats a lot. I'm no kidding. Like if you've seen it in my Facebook post, like the other night I got in from the airport and I literally ate a whole chicken. Yeah, I do that a lot. I'm an athlete too, so like I burn through stuff, but yeah, I did. A whole chicken for me at like a meal is not unusual. I'm big. Yeah. So when she's like, "Do you even eat?" I out-eat everybody in my house, like literally everybody in the house. Yeah.
How do you feel about yogurt?
How do I feel about dairy is probably the bigger question. I have problems with dairy based off of our digestive system really doesn't handle it well for several reasons. One of them, cows, okay, they get, everybody says it's non-hormone cow and everything else, so they get shot up with steroids. They get shot, it's called RDS 125 is the shot they get, okay, and it causes them to be sick every time. And because of that, they end up having to take antibiotics. And because of that, you're getting not just probiotics in your yogurt, you're getting antibiotics as well, and will cause issues with the gut. Some people can handle dairy fine, honestly. I'm not a fan of it because it's highly inflammatory, but prove me wrong. I will. I'll be like Susie, I love dairy, and I'm like, let's try it out. Let's see. I'm not a fan, but if your weight jumps and you start feeling crappy, we're pulling it, but let's do it. Yes?
So, if you don't eat a lot of dairy, how do you get your calcium?
Broccoli, all grains are really high in calcium. Like, everybody thinks it's got to be milk and cheese. Now, there's so many other foods out there that are high in calcium. Your greens, collard greens, kale, all high calcium. Anyone? Can I take a short wee break?
Yes.
Okay, give me 1 second.
5 minutes.
Started with iron C, I can't remember what that was. So, right now. I feel so much better.
Right, just because of this, it just doesn't go.
I get it. I hadn't stressed on years. Yeah. Oh, well, because I used to always have, I was always thin here, I always have these thighs to go away.
But I like the fact that she looks at symptoms, because I have stomach stuff, plain yogurt,
And I love yogurt. That was my plain
do it
yogurt.
with almond milk or something.
Yeah. Any plant-based dairy, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, plant-based dairy. Yeah, she'll let you do that. Yes, the plant-based yogurt.
Oh, really?
Oh, I can't do it. I
So you
tried.
just don't eat it?
Correct.
I mean, I eat it every single morning for years.
That was my go-to. Plain yogurt, non-fat, green with berries, a little granola, a quarter cup of Moody's granola, and a banana. My favorite breakfast.
You don't eat it.
Nothing. And it's not, I feel so much better, it's worth, So we're on the adding thing, so I'm hoping that'll be the next thing we can add. Try it.
Right.
But I'm still I reached my goal, but I still want to go some more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know that I want to start that yet.
Right.
I'm doing some cheating too. I'm definitely getting more alcohol than I used to.
Yeah, is that allowed on the diet?
No.
Oh,
No. No, she doesn't have to know everything about me. yeah.
Right,
So,
okay.
but I really do. I try to limit it last week because of my birthday and whatever.
Right.
Memorial, yeah. Going away is always hard for me.
Right.
So,
It's very interesting.
it is really, and like Chris, she says I have oxalate sensitivity, and I used to eat a ton of spinach, and strawberries are high in oxalates, and I just didn't believe it. And like all the joint pain, my foot pain, I have bad feet, but I don't have the pain that I used to have. I mean, it's still like weird, but, and my back was not nearly as bad as it was. So,
That would be, yeah, just to feel that energy was nice.
I just give up, like I still eat.
Right. Then you now this gives you hope. Like especially at my age, it's like that's how I feel. Like, oh my God, well this is how it has to be. No. Yeah. Yeah. That fruit?
Huh? Yeah, on the end there.
This is my life. I'm going to fix it. I don't quit. There you are.
Yummy.
I guess it wasn't out there earlier. Oh, cool. I'm getting some of that. That's what I'm gonna do right now. That's exactly what I'm gonna do.
I'm Tracy Thatcher. I emailed you. We were going back and forth before. Do you have like 5 minutes I can talk to you when you're done here? I can steal you to myself.
Yes, you can.
Island, granite, backsplash. All new hardwood floors on the main floor.
Oh, yeah.
Carpet on the second floor.
Oh, my goodness.
Paint, a sliding glass door.
Oh, yeah. And isn't there a fireplace thing? Something at the fireplace?
I gave her the contact for that.
Contact.
But that's like 9 different things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, so
Yeah.
because that job could easily be 50 grand.
It could be.
You know?
Yeah.
And
And that's what them buying cabinets.
well, that was including $5,200 worth of cabinets and knobs and stuff. Yeah, I would supply that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I have a good supplier for that. So she has some RTA cabinets out of Conshohocken, and so I just gave her a $5,200 allowance for cabinets and knobs. You know, but I mean, we're gonna have.
How did you know about the issue?
You know, I think 12. I think it was like 12 or 15 mandates. Just to the kitchen.
I don't know, where was it? They said there was
Stove and electric, so you can't start oh yeah, well, we took the cabinets out, now we gotta charge you.
Yeah, right.
I know, and I have a Canada issue too, because
We're good, we don't,
everybody is, like, seriously, everybody, that's what it sounds like. But I'm like, my
you did a really nice job. No, it would be great. And she would
and my dad said,
would be done really well.
oh yeah.
It just took me like a few days longer to get it to her than because I told her.
Alright, so, another thing that I look at other than food issues,
Left. realize you wouldn't.
Other things that I look at outside of food issues or genetics is hormones. Like if weight is having an issue, I said your hormones rule your body, bottom line. So either thyroid or female hormones can be completely off, cortisol levels. So cortisol is your fight or flight hormone, okay? It is, God designed us in this great way, but it's kind of jacked up, I ain't gonna lie. Because it goes against what we really want in life. When you're under a lot of stress, when you don't eat, you can go through a lot of, and when I say stress, I don't just mean emotional stress or anything else. It could be exercise, it could be physical stress. There's so many different stressors in life. Your cortisol levels will elevate. Okay, so hormone 101. At the top of your hormones, we have cholesterol. Cholesterol is a precursor for your hormones. How about it? You know that bad thing everybody thinks? Your body makes it. It's not bad. So cholesterol sits here. Right below this, we have pregnenolone. Pregnenolone I like to call the mothership, okay? Pregnenolone decides who's getting what, all right? So mama's sitting up here. Down this leg over here, we have your hormones like DHEA, testosterone, androgens, the 3 estrogens. Everybody's sitting over on that side. Down this leg, there's 2. You have progesterone and you have cortisol. So, remember how I said God designed us in this great way? So, when you are under stress, okay, like I said, fight or flight hormone, cortisol will say, I need cortisol. Cortisol trumps everybody. So, mothership's up here giving out hormones, and I'm having a really crappy day, and I'm really pissed off, and everything's bad is happening in my life. I'm going to bypass everybody. I need cortisol. I need cortisol. Now, what happens is as cortisol levels raise, your body stores fat for preservation. Remember how I said it? Yes, that God designed us to survive. You know, back in the days, in the hunter-gatherer stage and everything else, your body will produce fat. It'll convert things into fat so that way your body can live. You know, and it's amazing, but it's also like, really? Like, that's not what I want. We do not want more fat, you know, so that's the thing with cortisol. Now, within that though, I did mention you've got progesterone over here, and you've got the other guys here. So they call it the cortisol steel or the progesterone steel. Basically, progesterone really gets the short end of the stick a lot, okay? And so with women, what will happen is they become estrogen dominant, meaning there's not a good balance here. It doesn't mean that your estrogen's super high, you know. Your estrogen can be in range, but your progesterone can be low. So it's that ratio. It should be 300 to 1, 300 progesterone to 1 estrogen. And what happens is when those don't play well together, you can pack on weight like nobody's business for no reason at all. Like weight will come off, you'll be tired, bloatedness, carry on all sorts of extra fluid and weight. Oh yeah, progesterone will kick you. My progesterone levels were so bad, and it was just, I had to fix that. So you can fix that with food or with supplements, but for me personally, I ended up having to actually take on hormones because it was that bad. And balancing that out, and also if your progesterone levels are chronically low like that, it directly affects the other hormones. It'll affect your thyroid. So it's really important to keep things in check and know what's going on, and also, you know, like I said, labs, looking at what the lab numbers are to make sure, because a lot of times, I mean, if a woman is telling me like her cycle, okay, I look at that as well. I look at the intakes as far as what your cycle looks like. If you're somebody who clots a lot, you have a lot of, I mean, this isn't normal. Just so you guys know, having a lot of clots, cramping, just literally being sick going into your period, your period should show up like, oh, hi, and go away just as quietly as it came. And that's not what happens. Most people are like, I've been hit in the face on my period. You know, it's a Mack truck. And it means that you're out of balance. You know, and there's certain foods that you can actually eat to help elevate your progesterone levels, to lower your estrogen levels. So your liver, again, you know, like I said, it's the hub of everything. It also processes out excess hormones. So if that is not functioning well, it's not going to be processing out well, and you can have a very big imbalance there. When I look at anxiety, like I said earlier, I look at testosterone levels, so thyroid, testosterone, low vitamin D are like usually the top three that I look at when somebody tells me that they have any kind of anxiety, because those all are very symptomatic for that. So I just kind of peel that apart, look at labs, look to see what's going on, because sometimes it's just a really easy thing. Like if it's just vitamin D levels, okay, you know, let's fix that, you know. But when I see somebody who's chronically had issues with vitamin D, that tells me it's a fat soluble thing. So fat soluble vitamins are all housed where? Yes, my hub, my baby. So that makes me say, you know, well, you know, what's going on there? You know what I mean? So it's always looking, connecting, because everything's connected. Your body is connected all the way around from everything. And so it's a system. It's not one thing separate from anything else. So figuring out what's going on, it's gotta get
So
to the
there's no like go-to, because my daughter has terrible cramps, so I like, is there somebody you would just say, well, try this, eat more, whatever, broccoli during the
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. She can, like, cruciferous vegetables are great for getting rid of excess estrogen, but if she's having cramps and stuff like that, calcium, have her take calcium, magnesium, those are really good for helping with cramps, and B12, because she needs some energy.
You said meatballs.
And meatballs! Because everybody needs to take meatballs when they're having cramps.
Nothing like a good meatball.
I know, right? All right, yes.
So you said something about vitamin D,
Yes.
and if it's constantly low, it's not being absorbed.
It's not being absorbed.
And so why is that?
Well, either it's your digestive tract, it's not breaking down things in your stomach, or it's your liver's not working too well, because that's where it houses. So I look at, so quick fix. All right, here's your quick fix. Here's quick tips. Not a fix, but it's so I do this with my cancer patients. Anybody who goes to chemo, literally, like, their digestive tract is trashed. Okay, the chemo just completely does that. And so building up somebody's system afterwards is really hard to do, because you've got to detox that thing, you've got to heal it and everything else. So what I do is I do transdermal things. So vitamin D creams. I use a lot of patches. like B12 or like vitamin patches, anything. The skin is the biggest organ that you have. And if we can bypass the gut, because the gut is not healthy, whether you have SIBO, candida, you've got stomach acid issues or digestive enzyme issues or anything like that, or you've had any sort of damage, let's just bypass it and just stick it straight into the system through the skin, and it'll absorb into the bloodstream. So if we still do that, and then you're still having an issue with vitamin D levels, there's definitely something going on with the liver. Yes.
So all these tests that you're having done, do you work with a doctor to order them?
I can order myself.
Because I know there are labs online that I thought you had to be a doctor to order.
There's certain ones that you have to, and if I have a team. Like, I have a team of doctors. So if I ever get stuck and I can't order like a stool test, I can't order a stool test, but he can. So I got Brian. So yeah.
So are they things that somebody like us could go in and get our folates and
Yeah.
histamines?
So histamine levels getting checked, you've got to look at DAO, which is something, it's an enzyme that your body makes, and usually people who have issues with histamine will have low levels of DAO, and that happens actually if you got a gut dysbiosis. That's a very specific lab that not everybody offers. And same thing with histamine. Histamine levels can rise and change like this, honestly. And you have to really be careful on to when you take it. So I have one of my pediatric patients, oh my gosh, I hated his doctor. Some doctors are just not fun. Like, this guy was like, I told him what I wanted to run, and he was just like, yeah, I don't think so. I just, you know, I know you specialize in pediatrics, and anyway, we bypassed him, and bottom line was this, he was in such a bad way at the time, and I caught him at the peak of his histamine, and we ran histamine and DAO and everything else. And by the time I got him to St. Jude, by the way, the specialist was there, was like, he was fixed by the time he got there, and he was all, what's your number? Like, really? And the other doctor we fired, like, he was just awful. And, because, let's be honest, some of the healthcare people that we get are not very, they don't listen, and they just don't really do what they should do, or they don't look at the root cause. They just want to give you a medication, and it's very frustrating, you know, especially when, you know, you're like, hey, I'm very symptomatic to all of this, can you run labs on this? And they're like, no, you're fine, you're fine. Yes.
That's a question. Tell me, what is the truth about eggs? Like, one spectrum is like, oh God, don't have more than 2 a week, and then there's like, no, this is perfect food for your brain, you have 2 a day. Like, do you know?
Eggs are fine. Like honestly, not everybody can tolerate eggs, but eggs are.
But if you can, they're not gonna.
No.
The cholesterol.
No.
Right, that's what I think you're getting at. Yeah.
No.
So why, just because I've researched this, the connection between eggs and cholesterol, what is the real issue there when it comes to their concern about cholesterol and stuff like
It's
that?
the fat.
Well, is it inflammation though? Like, if you're inflamed, is that gonna like cause the cholesterol to be more present, or?
Inflammation will cause everything to rise and make everything just literally hell on your body, to be honest with you. So inflammation is literally the root of all evil. Like, that is what triggers cancer and everything else. That's why I talk about, you know, staying away from dairy or highly inflammatory foods, you know, because your body will, it just doesn't process it well, and it makes things inflamed. And so eliminating those things are good things. Yes.
I've had high cholesterol like my whole life practically. Can you watch what you eat and look at certain foods to lower that, or?
You can help lower that, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, and my family, my
Right.
genetic history is that as well.
Right.
And, you know, some of the professors, you correct me if I'm wrong, but like when, you know, I have a chiropractor, I have a chiropractor I work with, and there is a level that's dangerous, right? But like I'm traditionally high, yet from a medication standpoint, there are other markers that we look at to figure out, like, is that a problem? And it's not necessarily, like, you know, because whether I eat 0 eggs or 5 like I do now a day, it's like,
It's the same.
It is the same.
No
That's not the issue.
changing, right?
And so cholesterol by itself is not the only thing you should look at. There's a lot of other markers that tell you whether there's an issue. And they're realizing now through research that that even that cholesterol is not really the issue. You know, which is why I brought up inflammation and stuff. There's a lot of like the whole like eggs are bad, go low fat, whatever.
There is
that whole
so
thing
much like
been
misconception about like everything, like all the before the everybody. You need to eat all day, every day. Like you need to eat 6 meals a day, keep them small. All right. Let me debunk this right now, okay? And now it's intermittent fasting. Eat once a day. You know what I mean? And you're like, but what? But breakfast is gonna. I just heard it on the radio today. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. If I skip that, I'm done, right? You know? Okay. So let's just debunk this. Every single time you eat, your body releases, your pancreas releases insulin. Okay? So as you're continually tapping into this, your body will become insulin resistant. Hello, type 2 diabetes. Hello, pre-diabetes. It's because it's constantly working, okay? Your body needs periods to rest and digest, okay? And we don't often give it that. We are constantly just eating, you know, and every 90 minutes you have a parosteal muscle contraction that happens from your esophagus all the way down to your rectum, okay? It pushes everything down, okay? Because your colon, I mean, we're talking your intestines, very long, okay? And so things need to move down there. When you're constantly eating and your stomach is not emptying all the way, it's not going to give a good contraction and push things down. And you can get indigestion, you can small bacterial overgrowth because things will get stuck, things won't move, things will ferment. Make sense? So that's one of the things that people just, it's a big misconception, you know, some of my forums I have breakfast, I tell everybody breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but there's places for snacks in there, and people are always like, well, snacks are okay. No, I just want to know if you have one. And so, honestly, you should go at least 4 hours in between your meals. Yeah, absolutely. Now, intermittent fasting is, oh my gosh, it's one of the best things ever for reversing diabetes and pre-diabetes, honestly. Just that time frame. Now, the problems, though, that I run into, though, with this, some people won't eat, and by the time they eat everything. And I mean everything they shouldn't eat, everything they thought about eating, everything they thought they were going to miss tomorrow. I mean, it's like, hello, where's the pie? I mean, they just go crazy. And then you have the other people who will eat, but they won't even get enough calories in. So remember I talked about that stress on your body with cortisol and everything else. So if you don't get enough calories in, your body is going to go into self-preservation mode, okay? So I have, women are the worst. Undereaters Anonymous, sign them up. Let me tell you, like, just, the mentality is if I eat less, I'm gonna lose weight. No, if you eat less, cortisol levels are gonna rise, and your body's gonna store fat, and your metabolism is gonna slow down. And so you've gotta stay at least at 1,200 calories, you know, and people are like, it's, or else your body will battle with that, you know. So that's the problem that I see with intermittent fasting is sometimes you just don't even get enough calories in. Like okay, I had my 2 meals or my 1 meal, but I'm like, yeah, it's 600 calories. Yeah, why isn't my weight moving? What is wrong, Susie? Just don't even know. It's not easy being me. I am the keeper of the food, and let me tell you, there are people who are attached to food. It is like, you know, and they become, you know, I've been yelled at, I've been cussed at, I've been lied to. I'm not kidding. I just, it's the keeper of the food. But I know what works, and it's not so much that I'm trying to punish you or anything else. I'm just trying to get you out of the bad habit. And then once you start feeling better, hey, yeah, we'll test drive it, and then you'll see. Put on 5 pounds in the last day. Yeah. So it takes like, you know, 3,000 calories to like extra calories to gain a pound. So did you eat an extra 3,000 calories yesterday? No. Chris had pizza. What happened?
Half a slice of
Half a slice. What happened, buddy?
4 pounds.
4 pounds.
Wow.
Well, and just to exacerbate that, you know, we went to Florida. Excuse me for talking while I'm chewing, but
Oh, Fatty Patty came back.
yeah, right. You were surprised. Well, you were impressed, I guess. But from Wednesday to Sunday of that week, I ate whatever I wanted. I gained 15 pounds.
15.
And 40.
Wednesday to Sunday. Okay.
Now what?
15 pounds.
Monday to Thursday, I dropped 10 of it.
Yep. So that's the other side of it, okay? When you're inflamed like that, so it's the process. I'll see somebody, the weight will jump and it'll rise, and I'll be like, just give it a couple days. You know, if that food did that to you, we remove the source, and then all of a sudden it dies back down and the inflammation goes away. But like I said before, sometimes that source is still there, and we got to figure out what food that is because the weight's not dropping down yet.
So what's the weight coming from? Fluid water retention or?
Inflammation, yeah.
But what weighs something in inflammation?
Right? Your body will just swell up. It's like breaking a leg, you know? All the cells and everything just migrates in there. And any fluid, extra fluid you bring in, everything is going to go right there.
So it's fluid retention?
Yeah.
Because obviously if you're not putting the food in, where's it
Isn't that
gonna come
crazy?
from?
Isn't
I
it
peed a lot after that.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing too, when you remove that source and it's like you spend the next day peeing. Like that's what I tell people all the time during detox phase. There's 2 things you gotta prepare yourself for, you know, be ready to pee a lot. The bonus is everybody drops, you know, weight right away, which is nice because you lose But the downsides are, you know, you've got all these toxins in your liver and you're gonna release those, so you gotta get them out of your system or you're not gonna feel so good. You know, if I had a buck for how many phone calls, I'm dying, Susie, I'm sick. You're not sick, no, I'm gonna go to the doctor. You started detox 2 days ago? Yeah, yep. But those are toxins in your system. Drink water like it's your job and sweat, okay? Because you've got to get them out or they'll recirculate back in and that's why you feel so crappy. So, yeah, and then the peeing, like, that's the funny thing, everybody, why can't I stop peeing? Like, just, it's coming out, man, let it go. Let it go.
I gotta go to another meeting, but one of the things I wanted to just piggyback on what you're saying, and I shared this yesterday in my presentation at the Regional Masterminds, is that if there's one thing from my journey that I think is surprising, or at least a very big misconception, is that it's calories in have to be less than calories out, like she was saying, and it's not at all. I mean, maybe if you're 20 years old or you're 15% body fat or less, that might be the case. But even in their cases, like we're saying, it's very inflammation reactionary based, and it's like, you know, it's not that. It's like you need to do a certain amount of calories, but it's like, you know, I never knew 3,000 calories to gain a pound or whatever. It's like to gain weight. It's like, okay, well, yeah. So get that out of your system. In fact, when that woman yesterday stood up and said that rule about if I don't eat dinner, I get to eat ice cream, I'm like, you didn't listen to a word I just said. Like, it's not calories in, calories out. That doesn't work. If sugar and dairy is an issue for you, that's going to mess you up.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Right, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, and you can't, I also said you can't exercise your way out of bad nutrition. And I used her as an example. Like, she's allergic to exercise, kind of. She doesn't exercise, but she dropped 54 or 5 whatever pounds with no exercise, and it's clearly that's the case. It is not calories in versus calories out. So anyway.
Yes.
Do you have any tips for migraine sufferers?
Remove gluten.
Oh, really?
We'll start there. Oh yeah. Migraines are usually food triggered. They could be triggered by histamines. They could be triggered by salicylates. They could be triggered by gluten. I mean, those are like the main ones that I see within that. But they're usually, actually, histamine issues, really. I see migraines all the time with them.
The whole detox thing is another huge one. So many different ways to do it. Juice, elimination diet. What do you recommend? Obviously, you think it's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely.
What do you do?
Okay. Loaded question. Because everybody in here is designed differently and everybody is unique and everybody absorbs nutrients and processes foods differently. So it depends. Like I would never give a general statement, hey, everyone should detox off of these foods, because if I were to look at your history and look at your symptoms and everything else, I might give you something that's a perfect example. I run a group program, and we actually it was supposed to not run 1 month, and my team didn't shut it down, and 2 people got in, and I was like, we're shutting it down right now. Why are these people in? Okay, now I don't look at, when I do the group program, I don't do health histories with them. I don't look at everything. It's basically somebody's healthy, they just want to figure out what foods are problematic to them, and they want to figure it out. Okay, so I don't look at that. Now, they got into the group, but they're on a wait list for me, so they were waiting to get in with me one-on-one. And somebody had mentioned the fact that it was her husband, that he had colitis, and I was like, oh, okay, stop. Like the detox that I have for like a normal person, like for right here, I would never ever ever recommend for you. We need to change things now. I'm like, I need to take you in right now. Like seriously, we're stopping. So that being said, it is a loaded question because I do run a group and there are certain foods, but I would screen you ahead of time to make sure that that would be a good fit for you. Like for instance, everybody's like, beets are so good for like detoxing and dandelion, but they're really super high oxalate foods. And if you know what I mean, it would cause more problems than good, is what I'm saying. So, yes. Yes.
My biggest fight, being married to a guy who's 6 foot and 150 pounds, climb trees all day, is that when he comes home, he wants bread, he wants pasta, he wants like stuff that's gonna keep his weight on. And so if I do like a chicken and a veggie, 2 hours later, he's like, it wasn't enough, you know? So like, what's my retaliation, my reaction, my response whenever like that's our big fight of like, it's not enough food. What do I need to pump him with so that it's
More
not,
fats.
like avocados
Yep.
and
Yep, more fats will keep them full. Put some nuts in there. But I mean, that right there, fat is fuel. Your body will burn as fuel, and that'll keep them full.
Okay.
Absolutely. Back to you for one more second, though. Eliminating things, yes. The top ones that I always pull: gluten, dairy, and sugar. Like if you wanted to start somewhere, start there.
Well, I've already eliminated all that.
You're like, it ain't. Okay, I hear you. Yes.
Let's talk about fat, like, that's very controversial as well, like MCT oil, is that something good? You know,
It's good.
It's good?
Yes.
Okay, so you can't, someone told me one time, every ounce of fat that you ever put in your body, like, stays there forever or something, crap like that, is that? It was like, oh my God, I'm never eating fat again, but is that, it does go in and go out. And
Your body needs fat. Like it's, oh gosh, yes. Like your hormones. Everything, it needs fat. Absolutely. Like
what would be like a reasonable amount of fat for a person to have in a day? Kind of?
Try and get a fat in every meal. How about that? There you go. Done.
Easy. Butter, kiss of death.
For most people, yeah. It depends. I mean, like it'd be a kiss of death me. I can't do casein or whey. So yes, it's inflammatory. So
I'm sorry. One last thing. These fake sugars.
they're just no.
Just no.
They are so inflammatory. Oh yeah, let's talk about diet sodas. Oh my gosh, they are so inflammatory. They're just like one of the worst things you can give your system. The only thing rocking it right now is like stevia and honey. Like honestly,
Stevia is okay?
yeah, stevia is fine.
Honey is okay.
What about that swerve stuff?
No,
No.
no.
Swerve away.
Yeah.
Swerve away from the swerve.
What about xylitol?
Ew.
That's the same stuff, I think.
So what's worse, sugar or like equal or something?
Equal.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
I'd give you a tablespoon of sugar in your mouth right now over that any day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe afterwards.
Okay.
How long do you normally stay with somebody?
It depends. I mean, it really depends on, I like to do a minimum of like 3 months, honestly, because that's what it takes to change a habit, to really get somebody and figure out hormones or if there's an issue there, or foods, or if there's like a gut issue or whatever. It really depends. I mean, some people come to me and they're really, really sick, and they're with me for a while because I have to chunk things out and decide, it's like triage, what do we have to deal with first, and then how are we going to manage this, and then what are we moving on to next. So it really depends. I mean, I've got people that I've had for 3 years. Like I had a family actually, they both MTHFR gene mutations, and just dealt with a lot of SIBO and a lot of food sensitivities. I mean, just, you know, child and moms and yeah. It just.
So it just depends.
It really just depends.
And then do you charge like a monthly fee?
Yeah.
Okay.
April, you have a question?
Yeah, so what is the ultimate goal is it different for everyone, and if after you reach your goal, like, I already kind of know this, I'm just asking for everybody else.
Okay.
Are you eventually going to be adding things back in and seeing
Oh
if
gosh,
your body
yes.
can?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, so if I see that we're trucking along and your body's really doing well and you're responding and everything else, I'll ride that train out as long as I can without dancing with, hey, let's throw in some dairy or anything else. But if you start asking for it, I'll try it out. But then as we get towards the end of things, I'm going to be like, hey, let's start some more processed foods and stuff like that, because real life, you know. And a lot of things. And there's a lot of people as well, too, that are so ingrained in how they eat, and they've never had any, I don't know, they've never tried to eat healthy before. They don't cook or anything else. And for a lot of these people, I'll tell them, let's just start with some substitutions. all right? How about some gluten-free pasta? You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna pull away all grains or anything else like that. Let's just make a swap. And they're like, I can do that? Okay, oh, okay. I mean, yeah, and like I said, I have people who literally eat out at every meal. And they drop weight they don't constantly drop weight, because they're staying within the parameters and stuff. But like I said, at the tail, when we start gearing towards the tail end, we're gonna start test driving all sorts of things to make sure your body's okay, making sure that there's no gut issues, and also just seeing if you're just sensitive to certain things, you know? And that way you just have this knowledge. And also how your body's just responding well to it.
How about, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so you, like how Chris said, a half a piece of pizza and he gained 4 pounds, doesn't mean that that's gonna happen to anybody else necessarily.
Right. He just has a really big issue with gluten and dairy. And not everybody's that way.
Do you eliminate breads too, right from the beginning?
We eliminate all processed foods.
Okay.
Like,
Go on.
Go on.
Which is why you
well,
get yelled at.
because like I said in the beginning, I want to have some good success from the beginning. So we're gonna pull out all the inflammatory stuff and the issues and just kind of let's clean you up. I call it get her done week, because that's exactly what it is. Detox week is get her done week. You can do anything for a week, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm like, just set your eyes there, and usually by the end of that first week, everybody's like, well, you know, I couldn't lose a pound at all, and I've been trying for a year, and things are moving. So, okay, all
I
right.
remember your first couple days, it was like, oh my God, I can't eat it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're hungry, but it's a week.
It's a week, right?
It's a week.
Get her done week.
Yeah.
I have a question. When you did the video thing, well, I don't know, was that a year ago or whatever, that you were talking about people's ears itching, and I was like, what? And I was shocked how many people in the room, their ears itched, and I'd never experienced that.
Histamine.
And, but I am, because so many people are here, I'm like, now I think about things when I feel something, I think, but I don't have that, but my ears are like clogged, like, could that, and it's mostly when I'm outside, is that more of an allergy, like the pollen-y thing, or could that be a food?
It could be allergies, and that's the other thing. I always look at environment as well. You can't just always look at foods, you gotta look at environment, because environment will definitely trigger things. And there's also foods, there's cross-reactivity between the environment and foods. Like there's certain things that bloom, that food, if you eat a certain food, you're gonna react to that you normally wouldn't react to. Like birch, for instance. If birch is blooming, and you have an issue with birch and you eat an apple, you're gonna have a reaction. But I can eat an apple next month and be totally fine. Yeah?
That's complicated.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Yeah, so that's why it's so hard for people to figure things out. You know, if you're not educated in it and you don't know all the factors, you know, it's like, what's wrong with me?
And what are the histamine foods?
High histamine, tomatoes, avocados, nuts, mushrooms, eggplants, vinegar, except apple cider vinegar, chocolate. Chocolate's high histamine and high oxalate. Oh yeah. Yeah, and you think about so many things are tomato based. I mean, from pasta sauces to ketchup. Everybody's condiments, you know. Spinach super high on both ends, on oxalates and histamines. Yeah, and like I said, just because it's healthy doesn't mean it's healthy for you.
What about all these superfoods, like there's hemp seeds and chia seeds and, it goes on and on. Somebody just told me about cacao nibs or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of different superfoods out there that are
perfect.
That are great, but again, they could fall into the categories, you know? Like chia seeds. I eat a chia seed, I'm going to die. It's a high oxalate food.
Oh, is it?
I used to love chia pudding. Oh my gosh.
I don't get that.
Yes.
If you, it doesn't matter, like say you have spinach in a smoothie where it's broken down.
It matters. It is a spinach period.
I just didn't know if it was the breakdown.
Spinach is, it's just bad. Like you just want it, like it's the most healthy food, right? It's so high in oxalates and so high in histamine that it's not.
Don't even eat it.
Yeah. Like people are like, but it's good for you. The benefits, actually the detriment outweighs the benefit, put it that way. Okay.
Susie, can you go, just kind of give us your general program and the cost so everyone kind of knows if they want to talk to you about it?
Okay. So that's a good question. I don't even know what they are. Like, I'll just lay this out right now. I'm a very bad business person, great nutritionist. I have a business manager who does all this stuff. So a lot of times I don't even know because they just send stuff out for me. So I think initial consult. So basically, if you want to get on, initial consult is I think 150, and then I think monthly it's like 280. But if you only want to do like 1 month period, it's like 400. You know, like I said, I want time, honestly. And there's some people that literally are just coming to me because they want to lose 5 pounds, and I'm just like, I don't want to talk to you. I said that, didn't I? I think for me it's really hard when you have somebody who's really sick and you know they're sick, and you just want to help them, and they have just this one end result in sight, and that's it. And they end up going right back to the way they were. And honestly, it's so hard. I have a client right now. Took so much weight off of him, but he had it in his head, this is my end date, this is what I'm doing. The day he was done, that boy put every pound back on. And like, because you just went right, that was his goal. I'm waiting until I get there, and that's your mentality, is you're thinking that I can just eat it all now because I'm skinny. No, you know, and it's got to be a shift. It's got to be a mindset. It has to be a lifestyle change, you know. And people get so focused on it being a diet. This has really got to be something that you need to think long term about.
Which is why at the end you try and bring some other things back in that are
Yes.
more everyday type.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What's a minimum amount of time you would want to, like 3 months?
3 months is the minimum amount of time I want to be with somebody. Absolutely, absolutely. But like I said, I'll take somebody for a month, but they're going to pay out their butt. Because.
Literally.
Yeah, really. Because I'm in this to help people. I'm in this for people to get help and to get educated, and that's the other thing. Oh my gosh. So I work with a lot of agents, and there's a few people that are very high up in the Keller Williams organization who don't feel that they should have to fill out the intake forms. Okay? And we had some conversations about this yesterday, in fact. And you know, why can't I just do it? And I'm like, I can't help you, you know. Period. I need to look and understand what's going on with your body to figure things out. This isn't just, you know, a ketogenic diet or whatever. It's not a fad thing. We need to figure out, this is bio-individual nutrition. It's specific for your body, and I know you got issues, I can tell. You know what I'm saying? I actually was going to meet with a woman, like had all our paperwork, we're going to do initial consult, and so the hoops you have to jump through, yes, before our initial consult, you're going to sit down and you're going to watch a video. You're going to watch one of my workshops. If you haven't attended one of my workshops, you're going to watch it. And if you don't watch it, your meeting will be rescheduled. There's so much information that it's like shoving a fire hose down somebody if I first meet with them. It's a lot. And so this one woman was like, I don't want to know. Like, no, I didn't watch the video. And I was like, And she's like, I just fix me. And I was like, and I'm looking at her health history, and she's really sick. I mean, we're talking diabetes, hyperthyroidism, she's had cancer. There's a multitude of a lot. And I'm like, I need you to be educated. I want to educate. I need to teach you how to fish. I need to teach you how to take care of yourself, because it's just you long term. I am not in this for me. And you need to understand that. And she was like, well, and I said, I think that we need to rethink this. I don't think we're gonna be a good fit. And she was like, well, let me think about this over the weekend, you know, and I'll get back to you. And, you know, she comes back and she was like, I really, like I said, I don't have time and I don't want to know. And I was like, sorry, find somebody else. Because I'm invested. I care about absolutely everybody that I work with. And unfortunately, it's bad because sometimes I care more than they do, honestly. And I'm like, no, don't do it. Do you know what that's gonna do? I don't care. And I'm like, oh, all right. Yeah. So, yes.
Can you just tell me what the process looks like? Like for instance, so I've done ALCAT tests, I've done MTHFR, and I've
You're my girl.
So I've done 28 vials of blood in 1 week.
Sweet. You be sending me all those labs.
Okay.
Along with your paperwork.
Okay.
So
I just need for me, it was like when I got it done, it was like, here are your results. Also, you can't eat anything, but I'm not going to give you a diet plan. So I'm kind of like, which is difficult because it's like when you learn you can't eat anything.
With your ALCAT, all right, eat your foods that you're not sensitive to. The ones that you're mildly sensitive to, you do a 4-day rotation, okay? That means you bring them in because your body needs to see small amounts of it. And when I say bring them in, if you're sensitive to, I don't know, chicken, okay? Don't bring it in every meal, okay? Bring it in at one meal on one day, and that's it. And then 4 days later, let your body see it again. It's got to be a small amount, so that way you don't develop antibodies against it. Because bringing foods back in, when you stayed away from them for a very long time, are very difficult because your body will go through a process. It'll fight it at first, and sometimes. And you'll think, oh, I'm just super reactive to that food, but sometimes you just have to fight it and fight through it. So your body says, okay, you know what I mean? So don't get in the cycle of being stuck of having the same things. Do that rotation, it's super important. But yeah, when you turn your paperwork in, I ask everybody to send in any lab work that's been done over the past year. Because I need a baseline, I need to see what's been going on. And, you know, there's, like I said, there's certain things that will trigger other things. Like if I see somebody who has had heart issues, like family-wise, and all of a sudden I see a blood test that, you know, they've had high homocysteine levels, I'm like, oh, MTHFR. Or if I've seen somebody who's just got a lot of health issues, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, we got some genes going on here, you know, and have you had this ran? And let me see another lab. And then the labs come in and I'm like, okay, this is, I mean, they're right here. And so it helps me figure things out.
But do you do kind of like diet plans, like, hey, you can from these groups, you can eat this, and that?
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. Right.
Oh, you must be so frustrated.
Oh, yeah, it was kind of frustrated. Yeah.
A little bit.
And hungry. I would think she can't eat anything.
Right? Yes.
I gotta say about Susie, 3 years ago, I developed a really bad cough, and it was carrying on with me. And they were checking me for lung cancer. I had a bronchoscope, I had CAT scans, I had all kinds of crazy things. Pulmonary specialists, they wanted to do the puffers, shit like that. And it was just constant. And meanwhile, the cough was getting worse. You know, if I was coughing, I'd have these coughing attacks while I was driving on the scooter to pull over. If I was sleeping, you know, I was afraid that I was going to choke to death and whatnot. So when I started to chat with you, the first thing she says is, it's dairy. And I said, no. I love my cheese.
Not the dairy.
No. And I have to say, after 5-6 days, one of my sisters says, oh my God, you didn't cough while you're on the phone with me, because normally I would cough. Or if I was in the Westchester office, they would know I was there by my coughing and whatnot. And I'd say 90% of it is gone. Yeah, it's amazing.
I love it. Yay.
Yeah.
Diabetes. I have a friend who's, I wanted her to be here, but she can't. What would be your advice to somebody who's...
Stop eating carbs. Stop eating crap.
She doesn't really, you know...
Make sure that you're eating, I'd say about 6 hours apart, giving yourself that time.
Oh, yeah, because you said the intermittent fasting is really...
Yeah.
Type 2 or type 1?
2?
I don't know,
Either.
is it type 1 the juvenile thing?
Yes.
No.
No, type 1
Type 1 is
is
juvenile.
Colby's type 1 diabetic.
Yeah, because he had it when
He
he.
creates no, yeah, his
See, and with that, that's a whole different animal. Like with type
That's
1
right.
with type 1 diabetes, I mean, we're pumping insulin in, and it's a numbers game, and it's a food game, and like that's a whole different animal. Somebody who has type 2, I just say, let's get off the carbs and do some intermittent fasting, and like it's amazing how that works so well. I've reversed. I've got people often. I love getting people off meds. It's just wonderful, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to diabetes, it's super easy. When I was on tour in, I did 3 states in November, and I was speaking in Hendersonville, North Carolina, and somebody asked me about type 2 diabetes, and I was like, oh, that's reversible. That's so easy. I mean, seriously, that's like Tuesday for me. And she was like, wait a minute. You're telling me that you can reverse that? And I had just gone off on a tangent about doctors and medicine and the whole 9 yards, by the way. And up in the back row, this hand reaches up, and there's this man leaning back against the wall, and I was like, all right, we're gonna fight. Here we go. I'm like, there it is. I can just tell it's coming. It's the skeptic. It's the crap. And he says, hi. I'm the person that prescribes all their meds. Yeah, and I literally just went off on the whole doctor thing and medication. And he said, you guys need to listen to her. She knows what she's talking about. I literally dropped the mic. I was like, the whole room turned around and looked at him. And he was like, yeah, what she's saying is spot on. And then afterwards, everybody was like, I want him to be my doctor. Where is he? Like, really? So,
Well, how about these commercials that you see on TV for this diabetes medication? And they're all people that are overweight, and they're showing them that it's a pill. And it just makes me crazy. Like,
So this is the thing. The diet has to be there, but you also need other modalities to help keep the blood sugars down, and to help. So sometimes you can do supplements and herbs for that, and sometimes people have to go on metformin. So it's kind of like east, west medication and supplements to help do that.
Sometimes good, but
Sometimes,
not the only answer.
Right. It really, it's not the only answer, because it can totally, I've done it without meds, But sometimes you have to partner with that and get them off the meds, And so, like I said, it's just, diabetes is one of those things, especially type 1. I mean, you really have to. I have a patient now who, oh my gosh, they don't know what type he is, put it that way. He's just got a lot of issues. And his diet, since it's been changed and everything else, like his numbers are just, I like it when we can not give so much insulin, because things are getting better, so. Yes?
Going back to Steph's question, what was the process? So if somebody signs up with you, you go through the intake form, you kind of review that, we send you all the medical, records and or blood test results for the last year, and then...
My team will set up an initial consult, and then we'll have a consult. I'll give you a plan. Okay, we start there. And then you're in contact with me daily. Her eyes just got this big. A lot of it is accountability. A lot of it, though, is I gotta see what's going on. And if I don't have all that information, it's very frustrating for people. Weight's doing this, or it's not doing this, or I'm feeling this way, or it's important for me to be able to look at something every day and say if we need to make an adjustment, And so I'm a
how many people are you managing?
Yeah. It depends. Like, it really, honestly, it depends on how many critical care patients I have at the time, how many pediatric patients I have at the time. I try and settle in around 40, right around there. But sometimes I have to go lower just because of how intensive a lot of the people are. So it depends.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's why, like, I have a lot of group stuff as well, because it's easy for some people to just, they don't want to wait, or they're waiting, or they want to start now, and I'm like, well, and with the group programs, I get in daily, and like, if somebody, basically, you're trying to figure out what's working well for you, and if you're having issues, and you throw it up, and I'll I'll analyze things right there and then, and troubleshoot every day, so. Anyone else?
Where are you based out of?
San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Yes?
Quick question, so like salad dressings that have like 99 zillion things in it. Somebody said today that you could put olive oil and then Coleman's dry mustard in?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, because I miss my mustard.
Girl,
Saying.
now you know,
Vinegar.
girl, Robin likes mustard, I know, mustard is my thing.
Yeah.
You don't even know. I'm a mustard freak to the point of where, so, I was going to speak in Hawaii, and I went through TSA, and literally like all of the bomb squad came. Let's just put on. Yeah, I'm not kidding. The bomb squad ended up showing up. I had mustard underneath my fingernails. I had mustard all over everything. So turmeric will trigger the bomb squad. They shut security down. I mean. And it was so funny because I had just been moving stuff, and I have a cookbook out, and I'm always like baking stuff and making stuff, and I had this, I don't know, I forgot about it in my backpack. They're digging through everything, they pull out, I'm kidding you not, a Ziploc of white powder. And I'm just like, right now my daughter's just like this. The people, she's like, Mom, are you even kidding me? Oh yeah. At first they were like thinking I was, we're okay, yeah, we'll figure out what's going on. Literally, everyone turned on me when they saw the white powder. I was no longer their friend. I was suspect number one. But once they realized it was the turmeric, they were so great. They actually held my plane. But yeah, mustard. So I tried to make mustard with apple cider vinegar, and so did like the mustard powder, mustard. It's freaking spicy. Yeah. Woo! So you gotta really like tone it down. Oh, it's gotta be just a little bit. Oh yeah, I'm gonna burn my face, girl. Burn my face.
Okay.
Yes, April.
I just wanted to say, Chris used Susie, and I saw the results. And then he said to Susie, "You should work with April." And she's like, "All right." She calls me, or we text, whatever.
The funny thing, let me go around this story a little bit. I get this a lot from people needing to work with my wife or my husband, and I'm like, they'll be pushing, and I tell them, she has to contact me. That person needs to be ready. April is the only person I have ever reached out to and begged to work for me. I was like, work with me. She was like, no. Like, first of all, I can't eat what Chris eats. Like, I don't like that stuff. I said, you don't have to eat. She goes, he eats salmon every day. You're going to make me eat salmon every day. And I'm like, he chooses to eat salmon every day. I wouldn't tell him to eat salmon every day. And she was like, what? I'm like, that's his choice. And she was like, Chris, is that true? And he's like, I don't know. I like it. Anyway, go ahead.
That was essentially what I was going to say, was like, I just felt so special because she just kept saying, you really should work with me. You really should work with me. And everybody has a history, and my history is nothing worked, And to me, that just meant that I was going to sign on with Susie and fail again. And she kept saying, just give it a try. You can do anything for a week. You can do anything for a week. But I didn't believe that I could do anything for a week. I honestly didn't. I thought that I was going to go into it, it was going to be too hard, and I was going to fail. That was my thing. And she just kept saying, just give it a try. Just give it a try, And it meant so much to me that you did that for me, because it worked, and you worked with me, and I think the big thing was that I was scared that you were going to throw something at me like what Chris did. You can only eat salmon and eggs for, and I was like, that is just, no. And I think if you're scared or worried about something like that, that's not how she works. She works with you, and yeah, there's a lot of things that I can't eat. And I didn't think that I could do that. She immediately was like, you have an issue with dairy. And I was like, nope. I was like, nope, don't have an issue with dairy, because that means everything. Everything I love is gone. No. And then I was like, but I'll give it a try. And like 2 weeks later, I was like, yep, have an issue with dairy. Because essentially I was eating keto, and I had eaten keto before. It was keto without the dairy, and keto without dairy works for me. But keto with dairy, and I did it for months, didn't work at all. Nothing. Like, I lost nothing. So I just want you to know that, like, you know, it works. Everything she does works, and she cares.
And if it doesn't work, I will find a way or find a reason and figure out why it's not working.
Yeah.
And I will not let you quit.
And I tried to break up with her, and she went,
No, because I can't live like that, man. I can't do something unfinished. I'm that way, and I want you better, and I want to get there. And so yeah, I'll be like, hey, I don't even care if you can't afford to pay me anymore. Like, we're gonna fix this. And people are like, what? And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm kind of crazy like that. Yes.
We found a solution to regrow the hair that's starting to wave.
Matter of fact, yeah, we look at some hormones there. Definitely androgens, testosterone. Yeah, oh yeah.
Will it work for me?
He's a little further gone than me.
Beyond the point of no.
I'm headed that direction.
All right.
So how do we sign up? What do we do?
Yeah.
Go ahead and email me, and my team will start the process.
Okay.
But what's your email?
So we can
You guys
send
want
it
my
out.
cards? I got business cards.
Yes, business cards.
And I'm saying, Susie, we can send it to anyone that attended too. We can send an email. It's up to you, however you want us to handle it.
But you could do both, because that way,
Mhm.
if you're like me and you take it and then you can't find it tomorrow.
So, yeah.
Which email do you like? Because you have a couple, right?
So, info@RCA Nutrition. There you go.
Oh, that's easy too. Info at RCA.
You can find her on Facebook.
RCA Nutrition, yeah, info@RCAnutrition.com. So anyway, RCA stands for root cause analysis, because I'm always looking for the root cause of what the heck's going on. You're welcome.
They're pretty cards.
Oh, yeah.
Does that mean I can eat pineapple?
Fancy.
Yeah, what are we test driving, huh? But thanks you guys all for coming and
This was fabulous. Yeah.
hearing and learning. Thank you. Because it's all important. You don't need one of these?
I know.
Look at oh my gosh. You're like, what are you?
Look
I was
at
like, what are you
thing right there
thinking?
that I started to fill out.
Oh, I know.
I know. I have to talk to her.
Ready? All right.
Sophie came off.
Don't be
Oh,
scared.
good.
Nothing like coming here and then going to the Shake Shack. That place is awesome. It's so good.
Okay.